Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Peters. I am the Outreach and Event Coordinator for the Kensington Falls Church. On behalf of the Kensington, we thank you for sharing your time with us this afternoon. The Kensington Falls Church is an assisted living and memory care residence located in the heart of Falls Church, Virginia. Our enhanced programs enable us to deliver care beyond what the traditional senior living community can deliver. We are open for in-person and virtual tours by appointment. Please visit our website. We look forward to listening to your needs. Now, let us review a few housekeeping rules for this afternoon. We are using Zoom webinar format, so your videos and microphones will be off. There will be slides shown during the presentation, so please know that you can split screen by clicking the View button and choosing the split screen option if you'd like. We collected several questions from our registrants prior to the event, but if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A feature to submit them, which we will read to our speaker at the end. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker for this afternoon. We are fortunate to be hearing from our Memory Care Director and PAC Certified Trainer, Tonya Embly. Tonya has been with the Kensington Falls Church since we opened our doors 4 years ago. Tonya oversees our Connections neighborhood, which offers early to mid-stage memory care, as well as our Haven neighborhood for residents in need of mid to late stage memory care. Tonya is trained in Teepa Snow's Positive Approach to Care, or PAC. As a PAC certified trainer, Tonya has shared her knowledge and insights with each team member throughout all departments of our building. Today, we are excited to share Tonya's approach to care with you. We hope that today's glimpse into the positive approach to care will help you join the journey of dementia care and learn a little bit on how to overcome the physical challenges of caring for someone with dementia. Please join me in welcoming Tonya Embly.
Hello, welcome back to our three-part webinar. I hope you guys have enjoyed the last two. We're going to do a little bit of a breakdown. We're going to do a little bit of a review of what we've already seen, and then we're going to go into the final stages of what we call the hand under hand. I'd like to start with what we started with in our first webinar, and remember that you must always give a visual, which is show somebody, either yourself, show them what you're doing, provide a verbal next. Remember, we don't want too much of this because a lot of times what they're hearing is wah, 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 and you've lost them. And then the last, you would not do sensory motor, which is touching, until you've given the visual and the verbal. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so in our last video, we also talked about the 3 zones of human awareness. This video is going to show how when you enter either your loved one's room or if you've entered a resident's room, when you're more than 6 feet away, that's still considered public space. When you get within 6 feet to arm's length, that's what we call their personal space. And then when you get into intimate space, that's when you've actually gone into close by. That's when you're going to offer your hand. And if somebody doesn't take the hand back, offer their hand out, then that means they don't want you in their intimate space, so you don't enter into their intimate space. Now remember, you don't want to get right in front of somebody when you're doing this. You should always throw your shoulder sideways, because remember, they're seeing things through goggles and binoculars and goggles. So because of that, you want to make sure that they can actually see around you so they don't feel like you're being threatened. You're going to see, as I did a little role playing with one of our the assisted living supervisor, how I approach her. You're going to see how she responds by taking my hand. You're going to see how she responds by not taking my hand. And then we're going to use a little bit of the hand under hand to actually show how you can do with the resident and not do with them and not for them. Okay, so let's take a look at the video. Okay, Kayla, can we go back to the last one? Kayla?
Yeah, is it showing?
It actually showed, but it didn't have narration. So let me just sum it up for you. So the first part of the video that you saw, and if you play it again without narration, I can kind of walk them through it because you couldn't hear anything that was going on, and I can actually walk through what's happening.
Okay, let's try this again. Let me know if you hear anything.
Okay.
Good morning, Quinn.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Okay.
My name is Tonya. Would you like to get up this morning?
I'm okay right now.
Okay, well, you just want to have a little bit more time of rest?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll come back in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Quinn.
Good morning.
It's Tonya.
Hi.
How's your day going?
Good.
Good. Excellent. Well, I brought you some yogurt this morning that you can eat.
Okay.
Okay? I'm just going to put the head of the bed up for you, okay?
Okay.
So did you sleep well last night?
I did.
Excellent. Okay. So we have some yogurt here. How's that?
Good.
Good. Can you guess the flavor? Can I help you with the word? Strawberry.
Strawberry, yes.
So you like strawberry yogurt? Okay. Excellent. Feels good.
It does.
Okay. Well, we'll finish this up and we'll get you ready for the day.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
That is a gorgeous nightgown you have on.
thank you.
So did you sleep well last night?
I did.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad to hear you slept well. Would you like to get up and get the day started?
Yes.
Well, then let's go ahead and get up and get started. And I'll help you take a shower this morning if you'd like me to help you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do first is we're going to take your shirt off.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to help me do that?
Yes.
Okay. So we're just going to unbutton each of your buttons.
Okay.
Okay, that way you can get into the shower. And then once you get nice and prettied up for breakfast, then we'll go have some delicious breakfast this morning, okay?
That sounds good.
Okay, how's that feel?
Good.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Quinn.
Okay, so we'll stop right there. So in the first part that you saw, you noticed that Quinn did not reach out to take my hand. I immediately threw my shoulder sideways so that she could see around me. And at that point, because she didn't invite me into her intimate space, I didn't enter her intimate space. And I actually offered to come back later. Someone living with dementia, you know, if they're not ready to perform a task yet, it's better to just reapproach them. You know, you might reapproach them once, twice. You might, you know, depending on how important it is, because if it's something that's not very important, that's not going to be a matter of life and death, then you want to try and do things that don't aggravate them. So does it mean changing socks have to be done every day? No. You want to keep reapproaching them and actually doing it until they finally agree. You just use different approaches. It might be coming back in a different shirt. It might be actually sending somebody else in to try and perform the care. In the second part of the video, I came in because some of our residents, they're not early risers, but to get an activity excited for them, it might be something that they enjoy. So the second one, I brought in yogurt to actually get Quinn's day started. After a couple bites of yogurt, she's more willing to get up and actually get ready for the day. As you notice, when I go in hand under hand, you will see that it's hard to do with just my hands, but you will see that Quinn and I did this type of thing. We wanted to show you it's like you're forming a bird. And then you go into the hand under hand. Remember, the first thing most people with dementia lose are their strength fingers. That's these three fingers here. The reason why you're using hand under hand is because the last two fingers that they lose are their strength fingers. I'm sorry, these are your tactile fingers. The last thing you lose are your strength fingers, and those are the ones where they can get a hold of you and you not be able to get away. When you're in the bird, the hand under hand, it's easier to snap away from them. In the final part of the video, you'll notice that instead of me just going ahead and taking Quinn's shirt off and doing everything for her, I stayed in the hand under hand approach, and I unbuttoned her shirt using her hand. That makes her feel like she's actually participating in the process. That makes her feel like she's in control. That makes her feel like she has some say over what's happening. And you're actually using your small motor in order to unbutton the shirt. You would do this for belts and unbuttoning pants and taking the shirts off and so forth. take mental note that when I was giving her the yogurt, one thing about using hand under hand when you're feeding someone, when you're doing this, if the resident is actually doing this, anytime we do this, there's something in our brain that sends messages to our mouths to create saliva. You need saliva in order to swallow. So when you're actually doing hand under hand and you're helping them to eat, they are actually getting that message from their brain to build that saliva. Okay, just remember, 6 feet away. Put your hand up when you're within their personal space, and then when you bring your hand in to come into their intimate space, you want to make sure that they are inviting you in. And regardless of which space you're in, whether they stop you at the personal space because they don't take your hand, or whether they take your hand, you always want to throw your shoulder sideways so that they can see around you, so it doesn't look like you're attacking them. Next. So this is where I'm going to actually show you where we're using hand under hand to actually walk with somebody. You're going to see that when I put my second hand under her arm and grab her other hand under hand, you're going to be like the steering wheel for them. Watch the video and then I'll go over it.
Would you like to go for a walk today? Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's get started. Stand up. Okay. Okay. Now we're just going to walk this way.
Okay, so with this video, you see how when I'm 6 feet away, I'm just asking Quinn if she wants to go for a walk. As I get within 6 feet, I'm in her personal space, and that's when I threw my hand up so that she would take note and draw it to my face or my name badge. And then I offer her my hand. She took my hand. We went into hand under hand. And then I used hand under hand and I grabbed the back of her pants to actually help her lift. If it's somebody who is extremely hard to lift, you could use a gait belt. But you have to make sure that you have a hold of them and you're not just yanking them out of their chair. You can use the hand under hand and do that. Once I got her into the hand under hand with the one side, then if you noted in the video, I actually threw my other arm up under to grab her other hand. And at that point, if you see where right now, you can see that my hand is actually guiding her arm. So no matter which way you turn, she's actually turning with you because you're actually putting some motion on her hand. So I know in the last webinar, somebody had mentioned, you know, how can I take my loved one out for a walk? Using hand under hand, if they're able to walk steadily, it's a good way to be able to keep them from falling because you are actually under their arm holding the other hand. And if they start to stumble, you can actually grab them. Another way you could do it, instead of using this hand under, you could actually throw the other hand around their waist and hold on to the other side of their waist and walk that way. I find it easier doing hand under hand with both hands in order to steer them. And what you're doing is you're pulling on their arm to get them to follow you, and you have complete control. Now remember, when you're steering them, you don't want to do too much of this, because somebody with dementia, if you start talking while you're trying to transfer them, say you're getting ready to go to dinner and you do the hand under hand, and then you start saying, oh, are you ready for lunch? Somebody with dementia can't do 2 tasks at one time. So if you get them started and then you say something, there's the likelihood that they're going to stop and then they're going to address what you just said last, and then you have to start all over again in order to get them started. So it might be a matter of actually tugging on the arm to get them started. If it's somebody who uses a walker and you're just providing standby assist for them, it took you a while to use hand under hand to get them in a standing position. You're walking down the hall with them, and they're using their walker. And if you start to talk, that person with dementia is going to stop, and they're going to want to hear what you said. But then you got to start all over again to get them to move forward. So don't do a lot of talking while you're actually walking unless you plan on stopping and starting again. As I mentioned in the last video, if it's somebody in the more advanced dementia, I would suggest just taking them out in the wheelchair. Take them out in the wheelchair. That way they can actually enjoy, you're going to enjoy the visit outside as well as they are, because you're not going to be worried about them tripping over something. You're not going to be worried about whether or not they're going to refuse to go in the direction that you want to go in, and the direction they want to go in might be crossing a street. So sometimes it's just better to put them in a wheelchair, especially like if you want to take them out to a store. It's always good to have a transport wheelchair because a lot of times their feet are up and they're comfortable and they're not demanding to go in the opposite direction of where you want to go. And it's going to relieve stress, and you're going to have a more enjoyable time. That's a good way to actually spend time together. Okay, next one. Okay, so in our last video, I mentioned our MemPick books. On the first picture, you can actually see a variety of our MemPick books that we have. We have events and places, we have music, we have classic food, these MemPick books are excellent for using with your loved one. If you look in the second picture, you'll see the inside of a MemPick book. On the inside, it has a delicious picture of fried chicken. And then it's going to actually have some fun facts about fried chicken. And then at the bottom, if your loved one is in early to mid stages of dementia, you can actually say, what do you see in this picture? Late stage dementia, you might rephrase the word and you might say, that chicken looks really delicious, and point to the chicken. It's a way for you to have a conversation with them, because having a conversation with somebody with dementia sometimes can be difficult because you're trying to think of things to do. The MemPick books are really good at leading you into fun facts about it, to where you could sit and tell your loved one some fun facts about something that's going on. I really like the music one. But then, you know, then it also asks some prompting questions so that you're not giving them the answers. If you noticed in the video that I did with Quinn in bed, I asked her if she knew the flavor of the yogurt. I waited a few seconds, and when she wasn't responding, I didn't automatically tell her that's strawberry flavored. I said to her, do you want me to help you with the word? Because you don't want to finish their sentences, because a lot of times that frustrates them. So the MemPick books actually keeps you from asking them a question and then them not being able to answer you. So we use these here at the Kensington quite a bit. Other ways for you to communicate with your loved one. First off, I want to mention demeanor. And I think I mentioned this in my first video, is if you walk into your loved one's room or a resident's room and you just have a really bad look on your face, you've had a terrible night before, just thinking about another long day, you know you have a lot to do, the look on your face can actually lead the person living with dementia to have that same type of demeanor. So it's very important for you to approach somebody with a smile on your face, maybe even start it with some quick wit. You know, show them, hey, today's a lovely day. So you know, I always make sure, regardless of how tired I am, when I walk into the Kensington, my goal is to keep a smile on my face, to have quick wit, and to make sure that I'm making the residents smile. One thing off can actually change the whole events of your day. Starting the day off, I know my husband knows that when he wakes me up in the morning, he always brings me a cup of coffee, because coffee wakes me up. He knows not to talk to me until I've had a few sips of my coffee, because I'm just not in the mood to talk. I think about people with dementia. They have the same feelings that we have. We need to treat them just as we would treat our other loved ones, because they are people and they have feelings, and we need to respect their feelings. So, you know, when I think of the fact that I have to have my cup of coffee and I have to have a few sips before I begin my day, my husband, we've been married for 36 years, and he knows without those few sips of coffee, don't talk to me until I've had those few sips. I hope that when I'm older and I'm at the Kensington, that, you know, my husband's going to put in my life story, hey, don't talk to her till she's had a few cups of coffee, because it's, you know, we don't want to change the resident. We're the ones who have to change. We have to change to fit their needs. And that's why as much information from family is very important. We don't have to have a schedule with our residents. We want them to feel comfortable, and we want them to live as they were living before they came to our assisted living. Other ways to communicate. Remember, we talked last time about you don't have to constantly talk, because especially late stage dementia, the talk gets lost. It might be sitting listening to their music. We have a resident on 3, and to get her in a good mood and to just sit there and enjoy some communication with her is turning on Johnny Cash. She loves listening to Johnny Cash. I know Johnny Cash is going to put a smile on her face, and just saying the words with her is really exciting. We had a garage visit where we had Erin, our activity coordinator, who was trained in opera and has a beautiful voice, and we had John the Whistler, and we had a garage party, and we took memory care down first. And one of the things that just melted my heart is even our residents who don't talk, they were singing every word of the song. Music connects their brain. So music is a wonderful way to communicate with your loved one. I was able to sit down next to some of the residents that were singing and actually sing along with them. And we were communicating. We were singing a song together. But as soon as the music stopped, they went back to not talking. Pets is also another way of communicating. Not everybody likes pets, so you need to know whether or not your loved one likes pets. You don't have to own a pet in order for your loved one to enjoy a pet. It might be, you might find an agency that will come into your home and actually do pet therapy with you. I know that we have birds here, which the residents absolutely love. They tell me when the birds need to be fed. They're very aware of what's going on with them. Every time they walk past them, they always count them. And if they can't find 3, they're like, there's one missing, and it might be that they're on a higher perch. You know, they've even named the birds after some of the care managers. I bring my dog Jojo in. An incident that I had just recently is we have a man who's in late stages of dementia, and he has to have some medication because he does have challenging behaviors. And if he doesn't have the medication, or if he gets a UTI, it will actually cause him to not want to take the medication. So I used my dog Jojo to say he loves pets, he loves animals. It doesn't matter what mood he's in. If he sees a dog, he just gets happy. So I asked the care managers to get me the ice cream with the medicine in it. And I asked them to get me another ice cream. And I asked this gentleman, Jojo doesn't like to eat alone. Would you like to eat your ice cream while Jojo has some ice cream? And so I set some ice cream in front of Jojo, and I gave this gentleman his ice cream, and together they sat and ate ice cream together. it wouldn't have mattered if I ate it. He likes dogs more than he likes me. So giving the ice cream to the dog actually made him take the ice cream that he needed to take, which my dog loved me that day. Photo albums. We have a few people in memory care who send photo albums regularly. It doesn't have to be with them in it. It could be pictures of your vacation that you want to share with your loved one, or if you're sitting there with your loved one yourself, you can kind of just, whether it be just sitting there looking at the pictures or actually describing the pictures. You want to use as fewer words as possible. That's me when I was little. You don't want to use a lot of words. Sensory items. Sensory items are really good for people in mid to late stages of dementia. I have here an example of a sensory item that we actually use. If you see on it, you can see that there's a place to tie things. You can see they can button shirts. They love this little thing here because it does different feelings. This has different feelings. You can even put pictures of your loved ones in these little things here, or even pets, to where they can actually fiddle with these. And it's got a zipper here to where they can zipper and unzipper. That keeps them busy. It keeps them occupied. Sensory items can be anywhere from balls with different type of textures on the outside. It can be, you know, a slinky that they can actually use, you know, safe toys. If you get on the internet and you type in dementia sensory items, lots of things will pop up. I will tell you, sometimes we resort to the baby aisle of stores, because once you add the word dementia onto it and sensory, places want to charge you more when you can get something very similar to it in the section for babies. We're not saying your loved one is a baby, but they are reverting back. And so you have to go to them in their time. Chair exercises. A lot of times I'll sit next to residents and they have no interest in doing anything. And I'll just be like, let's raise our hands. Let's put them off to the side. Let's put them forward. And they start mimicking what you're doing. You know, that's one way to get them to use their upper body. Puzzles, you know, getting them to match up the same colors. You want to know how advanced your loved one is with dementia, so that you know whether to get the floor size puzzles, which you can still do on the table, or you can use smaller puzzles if you know your loved one is in the early stages. This helps their dexterity in putting the pieces together, but it also helps, and you don't have to sit and talk to them while you're putting the puzzle together, unless it's like, oh, maybe this one goes here. It's just a way of you sitting and communicating with them with not a lot of words, but you're spending time together. So with all of that being said, this is a great system, implementing the Teepa Snow approach and with other things that you learn about dementia. My number, if you just have any questions about some items that you would like to know about, please feel free to contact me. You know, even though this is the last webinar, I'm still available to you. And remember, if you're looking for a place for your loved one, you know, I love the Kensington, and I'm going to be here for a long time, and I will be your support system. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Tonya. We are going to move on to questions. So if anybody does have a question, now is the time to send it in. Either our Q&A or our chat is fine. We did receive some prior to the event, so I'll start off with those. I know you did touch on this a little bit earlier, but our first question is, in situations where a loved one refuses personal touch, how often do I reattempt the effort before moving on to another approach?
So with that, it would be a matter of, if they're not taking you, try the hand-under-hand approach, like you're going to shake their hand, but you're going into the hand-under-hand approach. At that point, that's where you can kind of say, okay, what, you know, we need to take your shirt off. And then they might be thinking that they're actually doing it. The first time I went in for Quinn, she was not ready. So I said, I'll be back in 10 minutes. That 10 minutes sometimes works, but at the same time, it might be a matter of bringing, I know people, some families think it's terrible to give your loved one ice cream first thing in the morning. But there's one thing that people with dementia love, and that's ice cream. If it means giving them an ice cream before they get out of the bed, give them the ice cream. That might change their whole demeanor. You know, there's no perfect law. And so with somebody with dementia, you might have to go out of the norm that, you know, especially if you're raised in the South where there's a certain, you get up, you get fully dressed, you go to the dinner table, everything's perfectly laid out. Change it to meet the resident or person living with dementia's needs. You're not going to change them. You have to do what it is that makes them cooperate.
Right. Okay, great. And then our next question is, how do I initiate taking my loved one out of the house or into public?
So, and I kind of touched on that too. The hand under hand approach, if they're able to walk very, to where they're steady and they can walk, but you just want to be able to steer them, use the hand under hand approach. Or if you just want to have an enjoyable time out and you know your loved one, you know, with dementia is going to want to wander, I would suggest using a wheelchair so that they, you know, stay with you and you actually enjoy it. Sometimes we had a resident, one of our first residents here, who she never wanted to leave. And so I said, tell her you're going out for ice cream. And she got right in her wheelchair and she went out for ice cream. And when the family got back, they were extremely happy because they said it was the best outing they had ever had. And so they would just take her out for ice cream. Or if you have errands to run, say, when we're done this, we're going to have ice cream. And then a lot of times, depending on what phase of the dementia they're in, that'll work as well.
Right. Okay, great. Well, those are about all the questions we have and just about all the time we have. So I do want to remind everyone that if you missed any of the series webinars with Tonya, they are on our website under our Connect tab, and then they'll be in the events category. And then you can see the recordings there. And this one will also be up there shortly within the next few days, if you ever want to refer back to any of them. And again, thank you, Tonya, so much for doing this for us. It has been so great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody who joined me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.